got to give it my all. So that was like the pivotal moment where, okay, I became more consistent, more profitable, consistently profitable. And that was a incredibly pivotal moment.
So you went through that process then of the demo slash simulated trading.
Yeah.
What was the process of learning them for you?
Fairly easy because I had someone like tangible, touchable that was like here showing me like, okay, this is how you simulate. This is the program you're going to download. This is what I use. This is how we place a trade. I mean, I had everything. I had all of the resources I possibly needed. The tricky part is I did possess enough discipline, and maybe that's because my uncle was incredibly strict, but he was like, you are not going live. You're not going to do it. Now, and he also made it very clear that when you do go live, it's going to feel different. Like losing money is going to feel like an actual smack instead of just this fake money. So, but I had an incredible amount of discipline to stay in the simulated markets for a year. So I had to make sure that I knew the strategy like the back of my hand before I ever even put live money. And I think that's one of the hardest things for traders because they want to just start making money right here, right now. So they want to put it, let's put some real money on the line here.
Yeah.
I had the discipline to go ahead and just stick out that entire year of just simulating.
Perfect. No, you're 100% right. Like a lot of people do rush. It's a weird one because it's like there's always a balance. There's the people who rush straight away, but then I've seen the opposite where people just get stuck on the simulation.
Fair, yes.
And then they get
Too
scared.
nervous to get in. Yeah.
So it's just, I find that with a lot of things in trading that there's always polar sides, and it's kind of what you said, what you mentioned about your uncle being a very calm person, and it being surprising being a trader. But I think that that's kind of what makes it successful is when the person's able to stay calm, versus the people who are very emotional on either side.
I agree totally.
But what were the key moments in, say, that learning process? Maybe some of the harder moments, right, that kind of stick out to you, that helped you actually. They may have been lows at the time, but they actually led you to, say, highs or progress.
I would say the very first actual, like, pivotal, heart-wrenching moment in my trading was when I thought I was ready to make that transition to live, and I did it. I went from simulated to live a year later, and then a few weeks later, I was not doing well. I was taking some hard losses. I had to humble myself and be like, I got to go back to simulating. How awful to like that much preparation. You're like, okay, I've got this year simulating. It's time to do it. I'm doing it. And then to see that like I couldn't handle it. I wasn't ready. And I remember like I cried in my bed and I was like, I really thought I was ready. Like it was just such a shitty day. I was like, damn, this sucks. And so I had to go back to simulating until I did finally make that second transition. And then I was able to go live.
What do you feel like was the difference then between the first time and then the second time? What preparation or change, made it possible to then stick at it afterwards?
I would say maybe having that self-awareness to realize that, you know what, I'm not ready to be live this time. And to see it and to go back to simulating, it truly is maybe more so it feels like it than it's saying it, but what a humbling thing to be like, you're telling yourself you're not ready. Like that just sucks. Nobody wants to hear that, especially you to yourself. But I think the second time around, I had that self-awareness. I was like, okay, like I think we're ready. We are ready. We're ready. I had the confidence, like we did it.
No, definitely. And then from there, what was the process like of building out your strategy or edge, for example? Because what you were in, was it stocks originally?
Yeah.
Yeah. So obviously I'm in FX mainly. I have limited knowledge of like options and stocks.
Same. No knowledge with options or crypto here.
That's absolutely fine. I feel like there's like principles that translate a lot. But would the principles of like, the thinking probabilities, the edge, collecting data in terms of like journaling, are these things like the same in stocks and now futures as well?
Yeah, translates over completely, seamlessly, as if there is no difference. The only difference would be that the stock market closed and I had to make sure my uncle made sure that I was terrified to leave a trade open after market close, because first thing off the bat, he was like, if a market or if an instrument, whatever you're trading, a stock gaps, there's a possibility you could blow an account in a gap. I mean, depending on how much, how many shares you're trading. But he made me terrified. So I made sure there was no doubt that any of my trades were held, after market hours. That's the only difference between. But as far as like the strategy and, the chart analysis, you could show me a chart and it could be, either one, and I'd trade it exactly the same.
Okay. And in terms of getting to like the consistently profitable stage, What process did you go through to get to that? What were the sort of key things that you had to use or learnt that led you to that?
The Skilled Challenge is finally here. Enjoy the lowest profit targets in the industry through our Skilled Challenge, which is only requiring a 6% profit target. Yes, you heard that right. Not only that, but enjoy 85% profit split as well as 125% challenge-free refund. All part of the best product on the market. You get to choose your drawdown between 8 or 10% through our toggle option, so you choose how much drawdown you'd like. Take advantage of the Skilled Challenge today.
I would say there were times where I didn't quite take trading as seriously, and I think I was able to figure out it was because maybe I had someone come to me and teach me how to trade without me going out and seeking how to learn and, putting my own money into like education and investing my own hours, like something. It just wasn't something that I sought out to do. Mm-hmm. I had it come to me, and I think that changes like the motivation with things. Like you can teach anyone how to do anything, but it's the ones that actually want to learn how to do it or actually seek out how to do it that make it or are successful in it or even want to continue to do it. So there were so many times in like these years of me trying to become consistent or consistently profitable that I wasn't consistent with my trading. I'd take weeks off. I was working, other jobs. I'm sure there was like a month that I would take off. And when I finally was like, okay, this is not working. You cannot be inconsistent with your trading and expect to be profitable. So I made it, it was like a switch. I was like, okay, we're going to be consistent with this. And same with my social media, did the same thing. I was like, we're going to be consistent. It turns out that's all it takes. You flip that switch and you're like, okay, we're going to be consistent. And that truly was it, because I had the strategy down. I wasn't consistent with my trading, where I use a breakout trend line support and resistance system. And if you're not consistent with it, when you get caught up in the fake outs, you're not able to, vocabulary words. You're not able to capitalize on the winners that the strategy is actually helping you for. So I wasn't consistent with my trading. And then finally, when I flipped that switch, I was like, okay, we're going to do this and we're going to do it consistently and we're going to actually give this an honest effort. And that truly made the change there.
Definitely, yes. And I understand. So like the daily consistent effort, because you hear a lot of people say that they've been trading for 4 years or 5 years, and it sounds like a long time.
Yeah.
But then if you actually like dive deeper into it, you'll realize that out of those 4 years, let's say, 2 of them, not a full 2 years in a row, but like breaking it down, as you said, they might have taken 3 months on, 2 months off. So then when you break it down, they're actually 2 years out of the 4 didn't count.
That's exactly right. Exactly right. Yeah.
So like I'm a big believer as well in terms of like consistent effort every single day, no matter what it is you're doing in life. It could be just a personal goal, not even like entrepreneurship or finance, for example. The best way to go about it is just every single day.
Yeah.
Make it part of your lifestyle.
And even if it's not even actually putting it into play, having it in the forefront of your brain, like every day, even if you're not actually trading or actually even maybe you're looking at the charts and not actually placing trades, having it in the forefront is just, it's as simple as that. That could be consistency.
It's just something, yeah. It's something, even if, like, as you say, it might not even be that you're trading the charts. It could be that you're actually, on that particular day, doing a 20-minute online seminar on psychology, for example.
Yeah, exactly.
It's related to your trading. It's there, as you say, at the forefront of your mind. It's a focus point.
Yeah.
It's a priority,
Yeah.
which I think is very important. Now, in terms of your journey as well, as you mentioned about working jobs, what was that like then, trying to balance, obviously, the jobs while learning to trade? And same with like finances as well. Was it a case where when you were first learning, maybe there wasn't a lack of finances? And was it a case that when you got consistent, did you have to put like a financial foundation in place, have savings, or did you just try and trade and build and use that to start to save, etc.?
So I did try to do everything at once. Try to make trading work and work, other jobs on the side. And it was doing the 9 to 5 and trading. I think maybe my idea was that I obviously wanted to make trading my main source. I didn't want to work anymore. I wanted to stay at home. I didn't want to have to work at the YMCA and smile at everyone and be like, welcome to the Y. My cheeks would get freaking tired. I did it all day. And there were other things that I would do. Like I worked in restaurants and a lot of YMCA work, a lot of work with my kids. Did hair school. There's so many things that I had to do while trying to make trading work. And finally, when I decided to be consistent with the trading, and I had to build capital first. It just wasn't going to work thinking that you're going to to just one day be able to make that, split from being a full-time trader to, 9 to 5, I had to build capital first. Absolutely. So working 9 to 5s, making sure that I'm building that trading capital. And one thing I think that helped, and I promise you this is like a humble brag, but I never blew an account, never went to zero. So there was always that, even if it was the slightest bit, profitable consistently, it was there and building, but just not at the rate that I wanted. But finally, when I had enough capital to put in, then I was like, okay, I can do this. I can finally make this transition.
What capital amount was that? Yeah,
5K.
5K.
Yeah, which at the time it took a while to get there. I was living in San Diego and rent's high and minimum wage wasn't. It took a while to get just even that 5K.
And what does the trading look like now then? Now that we've transitioned from that stage, gone through the learning process, and had to struggle with the working, for example. Before we get to actually where the trading is now, a lot of people struggle with that.
Yeah.
Trying to learn, trying to build their consistency and working a job. What struggles did you face when doing it? But then also, what would you advise others to make it, maybe not easier, but to manage that?
I would say, I think it was the same for me when I had this idea in my head that I would just maybe have like one big trade and then I'd be able to, be a full-time trader. Or you just thought that there was going to be this day where you made the split. And I think truly, one, you've got to have the capital. You got to have the capital. And a lot of people preach this. Don't trade money that you can't lose. I would say having multiple streams of income helps. So working, whether that's multiple jobs, whether that's like something you're doing on the side, a passive income, it plays such a huge role in your trading. One, it takes the pressure off of your trading, so then you can actually work on the strategy itself. But having multiple streams of income and having that, core amount saved up is going to be the best way to get you from 9 to 5 to full-time trading.
So talking about your trading now, I know you talked about making the transition from stocks over to futures. You already mentioned that. Obviously, your uncle made that transition too, so it was kind of natural for you to follow along too. But also, was there anything else, or like a motivation or a different style of trading that was sort of a motivation to make that change?
Yeah, I would say the trading hours were huge, so I didn't have to close my position at 1 o'clock in the afternoon because I was in California at the time. I didn't have to get up that early if I truly didn't want to. So I think the main thing was the trading hours and the volatility. There was a little bit more volatility in the futures market, which made it feel better and easier as a day trader because sometimes the stock market seems so stagnant and you've only got a few hours to place these day trades. So I think the volatility and the hours were the two biggest things for me.
Definitely. And, when did you start to document your journey? In terms of social media and stuff. I know obviously your uncle documented the very beginning.
Oh no, we got day one. It would be, if I go back far enough, there was a moment in time, and we talked a little bit about this on our little mini podcast, but there was a moment in time where on social media it was not okay to talk about finance or how much money you make. It was a very uncomfortable thing. It wasn't polite. It was like a rude thing or maybe you're bragging. It was not an okay thing to talk about. And at some point in time that changed on social media and I was kind of aware of that. I could start to see people talking about how much money they make and how they generate income. And so it made it easier to post about this. It didn't feel strange. But I think I've been doing it on the plane ride here, I was reminiscing on some like archives on my stories, and those were 2015, 16, 17.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, I've been documenting it for a while now.
You have it. What was the motivation behind it?
The documentation? I knew that I had a very clear idea of how far I was going to get with trading. So I already knew this is a great idea to start documenting these tiny little trades that I'm making in the start of this, because my uncle had been incredibly encouraging, and maybe it's him just, giving me a little extra motivation, or maybe he truly saw that I was going to make it far in trading. And he would tell me all the time, he's like, listen, you're going to be better than I am one day. And I truly believed that. So I documented my journey. Now, I did thoroughly enjoy social media. I have always documented everything. If you go back and see me 7 years old, I got a VHS camera recorder and I'm like, hi guys, welcome to the news. I would have so much fun. Always documented every part of my life. So it just made sense to incorporate trading into this as well.
Definitely. And, I've seen that you do lots of different content types. You've done live streams, right? You've done just your usual sort of short form content. I also saw at one point you were doing like interviews, right?
Yeah.
For like a prop firm, like doing the people's payouts interviews, right?
Yeah.
So did you enjoy that process? Was it fun to be able to speak to all these different traders? And a lot of people try and say that, how do you trade and you create content, right? How do you find the time to do all these things?
Oh my God, it is not that hard. So many people are like, there's no way if you were actually successful in trading that you would be posting about it or taking the time to make content. I have so much time on my hands. What are you talking about? It's. I mean, I don't know. It's the same for you. You are doing this at a much higher level. But as far as me, recording a video or an hour live stream is incredibly easy. Now, I have been able to now divvy out the time to know where I have a video editor that I don't have to spend the hours editing. But there's absolutely a point in time where I've always had time to create content, for sure.
And then with social media, you get different personalities, different, obviously, opinions. And no doubt you got a lot of supporters.
Yeah.
But also comes the opposite side, as we talked about earlier. There's always two sides. So the opposite side with a lot of haters or negativity. So how do you handle that?
That was... Oh, and you know what? I'm going to be honest. I feel like I forgot part one of that question about the interviewing the other traders.
Just do you enjoy the process? Yeah.
Oh, very much so. Dude, that was also... It did play a really big role, so I do want to touch on that a little bit. It was the coolest experience. So that was the first time I'd actually been introduced to other traders, because before I had a very small bubble. I had my uncle. And like maybe I could talk to my sister a little bit about trading, and like my aunt sure a little bit too. But that was the first time I was actually talking to other traders. It was an incredible opportunity. Now, there were times where I would interview some of these traders and I would be able to realize that, okay, maybe some of them kind of got lucky and they're trying to explain how they got lucky in a very like articulate way that is showing a strategy. But then there's other ones that I could just have talked to for hours, because I didn't have much experience with other strategies. So I truly was fascinated to hear, okay, what strategy do you use? How does it work? What's your psychology like? And it made it very easy to do, high quality interviews, because I was truly fascinated by each one of these traders. So that was an incredible start to like getting to know other traders and other strategies. And this will be a great segue to the next question is I didn't have much experience with other strategies, or even like crypto or options or Forex for that matter. I did get to trade Forex for maybe a very short amount of time. And that was me experimenting between like a 3 to 6 month period before I made the transition to futures. But I didn't have experience with other strategies. So to hear what other people use and to find out that there's like hundreds, if not thousands of strategies that you can use to trade. And when I did finally make it public what strategy that I use, I had no idea that I was even supposed to be insecure or that it was a vulnerable thing. I had no idea. So I immediately was like, hey guys, okay, cool. I'm Tori. I use a trend line trading and support and resistance strategy. I got so much pushback. I didn't even know that was going to happen. I had no